and I made him watch.
I really hope that cheesecake's good. I really hope that cheesecake's good.
I'm sure it's going to be great.
I haven't made a cheesecake in a really long time.
Well, I mean, you didn't burn it.
No, it got a little dark, though.
It's a little dark.
It's a little dark.
Which just means it's going to be good.
Okay.
That's what that means.
That's, okay. As long as that's what that means to you.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well.
Hello and welcome back to And I Made Him Watch, the podcast where I make my husband watch weird movies. I'm your host, Dani Page, and here with me forever and always, birthday boy himself, filmmaker, and my husband, Troy Allen. What's up, old man?
I'm not that old.
No, you're not. You're not old, really.
I'm 36.
Mm-hmm. It's not old. It's really not that old.
I haven't bust out the old walker yet,
Mm-hmm.
with the tennis balls and stuff.
Yeah. I did find a gray hair last week, though.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, it's still in there somewhere.
Which, I mean, I've had grays before.
Well, you have some gray in your eyebrows, but it's not very noticeable, so...
Okay, well, I mean, that just means I'm a silver fox, as it were. No?
Well, I mean, you're not really silver yet. I think you need more silver in your hair.
Well, I'll just get some Just for Men to gray it up.
Oh, that's the opposite. That does the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Don't they make gray hair just for men? Like you want to add gray?
I don't think so.
Whatever.
We can dye your hair gray if you want.
No.
Okay.
I'm fine.
So we took a little 2-week break because I had to have a wisdom tooth extracted. And then we had plans to meet up with my family, but those fell through. But we're back at it again, getting back into it with the 1976 movie Alice, Sweet Alice. And this movie will make you rethink your kids. Man, you wanting to have them. It will change your ideas of what having children would be like. But kind of that's reality in a way, because you never know what type of person that child's going to turn out to be.
No.
And that's not any pointed towards anyone or people who have children. Kids can be great, but sometimes some of them are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how life is.
Well, hell, look at the Menendez brothers,
Dude.
I mean, just because they came out of you, or you helped create them in a way, doesn't mean that you gotta know what they're gonna be like.
Nope, no way.
They could be sweet and innocent 1 minute, and then next thing they're a fucking brutal, axe murderer.
Yeah,
or something.
Other violent things children are, doing nowadays that are horrific. But, that's the world we live in. It's pretty dark. Mm-hmm. The movie we're watching, it begins with a young girl reciting a prayer before her first communion. Do you know what a first communion is?
No.
Okay. So, first communion is a religious ceremony in the Christian tradition, particularly in the Catholic Church, where a child receives the Eucharist, that's how you say it, or Holy Communion for the first time. That's when they let you drink the wine and they put the little wafer in your mouth. It's a sacred ritual where bread and wine, symbolizing the body and blood of Christ, are consumed. This ceremony is an important milestone in the Catholic child's spiritual life, usually taking place around the age of 7 or 8, marking their deeper involvement in the church and community. But I find it really creepy is that the girls typically wear these wedding dresses to the first communion.
Is that supposed to symbolize their quote unquote marriage to Christ?
I think it symbolizes their commitment to Christ. Anyways, as the intro credits and the prayer come to an end, the girl raises the crucifix she's been holding and reveals a knife. And that's pretty metal. That was pretty badass.
Yeah, that's literally my first note. I said, okay, the bride with the cross dagger thing was pretty cool.
yeah, I was not expecting that at all when I first watched this. Not at all. We're shown a church as children leave for the day, and we watch the Spragus.
Spagus?
Spages?
Spages?
Spages? How do they pronounce it in the movie? Is it
I think
Spages?
it's Spages.
Spages. Spages sisters, Karen, Alice, and their mother, Catherine, visit Father Tom. Catherine is played by Linda Miller. Karen is played by Brooke Shields. This is one of her first movies. And Alice is played by Paula Shepherd. Alice wanders off to the restroom as Father Tom talks to Karen about her first communion. Alice finds a mask and scares the housekeeper, Miss Trudoni. And her mother finds her and makes her sit with her sister and Father Tom. Father Tom gives Karen a cross necklace, a crucifix, for her communion gift, and Alice is obviously jealous about the gift. And Father Tom is portrayed by Rudolph Wilrich.
Yeah. The mask, like the first time you see Alice in the mask, it was pretty fucking creepy.
Yeah, it's a creepy mask.
Like I don't know, it's like the translucence of the mask. Obviously, like you can see barely the person under the mask, but you can't make out their face.
Yeah, it's very disordered. Yeah. It reminds me of one of the masks from The Strangers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and like her whole getup with the coat that we see later on in the mask and stuff, like it seemed familiar. Like I feel like I had seen it somewhere before.
Okay.
But I can't really place it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, good start to a movie.
It's not boring at all at any point. Well, there are some like scenes I'm like, this probably didn't need to be here, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We then watch Alice play with some matches in a basement. Her mother then hears Karen calling for her, and it turns out Alice has stolen one of Karen's dolls that their father sent to her and is threatening to break it. I'm so glad we don't have to get kids. Like, imagine having to deal with a child like Alice.
Yeah, that's so, I don't know, it's so difficult to imagine because, for one, we don't have kids, but two, like, you know, we didn't have the greatest childhoods, but at the same time, like, we weren't, psychotic.
No, we didn't have sociological issues.
Right. So.
And Alice has got some issues.
Yeah.
So the mom goes to pick up Karen's dress for her first communion, and Karen goes looking for Alice, who runs away from her and down an alley. Alice then leads her younger sister into a rundown warehouse. She then scares Karen and throws her into a room, shutting the door behind her and, like, not letting her out. And then she just kind of smiles listening to Karen scream for a while. She then threatens that if Karen tells Mom that she's never going to see her doll again.
Yeah, it was at this time that I realized that Alice is a bitch.
Alice is a bitch, yeah.
But the other hand, Karen's a fucking crybaby.
She is so whiny.
Dude.
You have to remember that these children also, like, gone through a divorce recently. True. And their, spoiler alert, we're going to get into it anyway, but the father has already been remarried.
Yeah.
And lives away from them.
Right.
Because he can't, it's in the movie, he has to stay locally because of what happens, and he can't just go back and forth from home. So he is, like, far away from his new wife. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot. But, it doesn't excuse Alice's behavior.
No.
But yeah, no. Karen is, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
When you mentioned, though, like, earlier, when Alice finds the mask, and then the first person she sees after finding the mask is Mrs. Trudoni.
Did you notice the yellow gloves she was wearing while she was washing the floor?
I didn't, but there's a lot of symbology right there in the beginning of the movie that,
There's a connection.
There is a connection, yes. So, I'm just now really kind of realizing it, though, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, watching it the first time, it was a little shocking what happens. And then rewatching it, like the bits and pieces I watched you watch, I was like, oh, that clicks now, that's like something that's connected. So there's a lot of bickering between the mom and the daughters in the next few scenes. Alice is definitely like a narcissist or has some sort of sociological issues, that's for sure. All the drama with the veil and the whining, I hate it. It's so annoying. Like, it was so annoying to listen to Karen whine about something so stupid. There's also this creepy undertone when the mom is like, "You're going to be the prettiest girl there. Just wait until Father Tom sees you." Like what? Why is that important to a 9-year-old?
I mean, I could understand if it was a little boy.
Wow. We're not keeping that in. You cut that. You cut that joke.
What? It's a Catholic church joke.
Oh, it is a Catholic church.
Man.
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean, it's humor in the pain.
We all know what happens.
Yes, we do. We do. It's crazy. It's really disturbing. Disturbing.
And I apologize, but if you're like hardcore Catholic or hardcore religious in any sense of the word, like you're probably not exactly our target audience anyways.
I mean, you can believe whatever you want. I don't care. But you have issues within your community. Yeah. Definitely there. So, and that's not our fault. And sometimes the truth hurts. The truth is ugly. Sometimes you got to face that. Meanwhile, the neighbor / landlord, Mr. Alfonso, is in his apartment feeding his cats and sharing the cat food. Meaning he's also eating the cat food. As Alice makes her way down the stairs of the building, Alfonso pokes his head out and tries to get Alice to go to the store for him, but she ignores him and he calls her little bitch. Understandable.
Dude, this guy, y'all don't understand. Mr. Alfonso, he is so gross. So fucking gross. Just this like morbidly obese man. And for some reason he's got this like brown stain on the front of his pants.
Yeah.
He has no eyebrows.
Nope.
He's bald, but has a goatee. So I'm not entirely sure what the deal is there. But yeah, just like overall gross. And he's got like, how many kittens are in this
So
room?
many cats.
Like, I can only imagine the smell in this apartment, dude.
So, a thing about Alfonso is that he was not a professional actor. Alfred Soul, who is the director, actually met him at a he was at a bar or something. He was like a bouncer. Alfonso was like a bouncer at a bar, and Soul kind of like tried to get him to act, and he kind of insisted him to do it. So that's how he got into it. He was in 2 more like low budget horror movies in his life before he died, because he died like early 80s or late 70s. So actually, I mean, not a few years after this he had died.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So at the first communion, at Karen's first communion, Alice can't be found. Uh-oh. As the other girls head out to receive the first communion, Karen is attacked from behind by a girl wearing a mask and yellow coat, exactly like Alice's. So, and they go to this Catholic school, and they have Catholic schoolgirl uniforms and stuff, and they also have these yellow raincoats that they all wear, and they're all identical. That's important. The event continues as Karen is strangled and then dragged away. And at one point, one of the old nuns sees like Karen's feet dragging along the floor and just like ignores it for some reason. Like straight up like goes like kind of like this, and she just whatever. Like what? Karen's body is then stuffed into a bench and the crucifix stolen, and then Karen's body is set on fire with a candle.
I want to say that the nun not being surprised by seeing the dragging feet implies that this is a normal occurrence. Okay?
Stop it. Troy.
I'm just saying.
Troy.
I'm just saying, dude.
Troy, you're on thin ice. You're going to go to freedom speech jail. You're going to go to freedom speech jail. Yes. You're going to go to freedom speech jail.
Oh, I'm assuming they just make you recite the Pledge of Allegiance all day?
50 times every minute.
Well, that's going to suck.
50 times every minute.
That's going to suck. Yeah, so Catherine is like, or no, it's Annie, right?
Annie is Catherine's sister, so the girl's
Right.
aunt.
She's asking, "Where's Alice?"
Yeah,
And the mother's Catherine. She's like, "I don't know."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know. Probably in the back, murdering her sister."
Yep.
You know, and that whole scene is so funny because she strangles her with a fucking candlestick. First of all, candlesticks are traditionally made out of wax.
Yeah.
So imagine dying by being strangled with wax.
Karen was a very small girl.
She was.
Mm-hmm.
Alice was a little bit bigger because she was older. She was a little older.
Yeah. So their ages are 12 and 9, I do believe.
Okay. So, yeah, but at the same time, like, I just can't see anyone being strangled with a wax candlestick and it not breaking.
Yeah, well, it's the movie.
But at any rate, she also didn't need to set her on fucking fire because that's kind of fucked up.
That was pretty fucked up.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Alice appears in a white dress and with like a doily on her head and takes Karen's spot in the first communion because they're all lined up at the altar on their knees waiting for the priest. Don't make a joke. Don't.
Didn't even say anything, dude. I didn't say a fucking
I said
word.
it and I just realized what it sounded like. This is not.
Listen, if you're gonna write a movie, try to not write in like kids kneeling in front of an adult man.
Yeah.
Whether he's a priest or not. Like, that's
weird. The old nun that saw Karen's feet then notices smoke coming out from the back room. Everyone then rushes to see what's going on, distracting Father Tom from giving Alice the communion. Like, it's right at Alice, and then the whole church kind of like rushes to this back room for some reason to see what's going on. Like, it's smoke. You're all going to rush to a fire? You're going to it's stupid. You're going to cause more accidents.
Well, and what's also stupid about it is we see, it shows like the fan, because there was a fan blowing, and we see the smoke being blown, and then we cut to the door, and we see the smoke coming up from the door, and then the nun goes into the back room, and when we first cut to the nun in the room, there's no smoke in the room.
Mm-mm.
We only see the smoke once she gets up to the bench or whatever that Karen is in. And even then, it's only kind of like rolling from the top, like, and then she opens the lid and it's just boiling out smoke and stuff, you know? And it's like, okay, it's hard for me to follow now because it's like, where was the smoke coming from then? Because this shit ain't good.
You know, it's a movie. It's a low budget horror movie. It's a movie. I don't know what you want me to tell you every time.
I don't know. I feel like Fulci would have thought of that.
Ooh.
I feel like Fulci would have thought of that.
He probably would have the whole bench on fire by the time people got in there, actually.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Just fucking
metal
flame. Because to be fair, we never even saw flames.
Only the candle. Really.
Yeah, we saw the candle and then we see smoke. Never see flames.
So after everyone rushes to the room, a lot of information drops in these quick and short scenes. Karen's body is discovered. Catherine is asking Alice all kinds of questions, and Alice is being a little twat. And then Catherine's sister Annie rushes to her and screams she's dead right in her face, and it's very intense to watch. It's very da 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 up to that point, and Annie's like holding, like, not even saying who's dead or anything. It's just like, she's dead. And then finally she says Karen's dead.
Yeah, it's very rapid fire with the information.
We watch as the wake or the funeral for Karen is prepared for and proceeds. Cops are trying to put the pieces together now for what happened and who done it. Karen and Alice's father, Dominic, arrives, and Dom is played by Niles McMaster. Also, it turns out that Catherine and Dom are divorced, and he is remarried already. I mentioned it earlier.
I thought it was kind of funny that up to this point, like, no one's really even suspecting that Alice killed her sister.
No.
Like, it doesn't even really occur to anybody.
No. I mean, if you think about it, would you really suspect your child of killing your other their sibling?
I mean, probably not, but seeing that Alice was in the first communion lineup and she wasn't supposed to be, mm-hmm. She was also seen coming from the room mm-hmm. that Karen's body was found in.
True, yeah.
So, I mean, and with her prior history mm-hmm. with Karen, mm-hmm. I would say that it's not too far-fetched.
Okay. Yep. I mean, it's not. It's really not. I think the purpose of the film is to direct you there. Yeah. For you to already know what's going on. Right. And to watch the people around Alice to figure it out.
Yeah, it's like the movie is telling you, like, Alice did it, mm-hmm. but now you have to sit and watch everybody else try to figure it out. Yeah. So.
After the mass, the family gathers around and the adults discuss what happened to Karen. They send Alice and her cousins down to Mr. Alfonso to give him the extra cake that was left. Then Alice and her cousin Angela go into the basement. Upstairs in the apartments, the adults are having the conversation about Alice now, and it's hinted that Annie thinks Alice has something to do with it or with Karen's murder. And Catherine's like, I really don't want to hear that. Girl! Listen. You need to listen. And I think if they had listened to Annie and, like, maybe investigated Alice, they, would figure things out a little more quicker. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I don't know if they would have come up to a dead end or anything like that, but, I mean...
Well, Yeah. Yeah. I think the next day, Dom visits the detectives on the case and gets questioned. Detectives Spina and Detective Brennan want to talk to Alice and see if she saw anything at the church. And it turns out that Alice had Karen's veil and has stuffed it into her coat pockets. The detectives want to know when and where she got the veil. And a bunch of detective questions, yada yada. Dom doesn't like what the detectives are trying to say and point to and tell them to forget about talking to Alice and leaves. Once Dom is gone, the two go over the information and they've collected Alice's school records, and turns out that the school had requested Alice to have a psych eval, but it was refused several times.
In that scene, immediately after Karen's death, and we see Annie come out and grab Catherine. She's like, she's dead. It cuts to Alice on the floor, and we see her, like, shoving the veil into mm-hmm. her pocket and stuff. So, which is, the film trying to lead you in that direction that Alice mm-hmm. was the one that killed her. So, but I kind of find it interesting that the cops at this point are obviously suspecting Alice of something. Mm-hmm. They're not sure if she's the killer or if she had something to do with it, but nobody else is. Like, no one that's near the child is suspecting anything.
Except Annie.
Which
Annie is a bitch.
She is, but here shortly we'll see.
Yeah.
That Annie's not all crazy.
We'll see. Outside, Dom makes a call to Father Tom. The housekeeper, I forgot her name again.
Torito?
No, Tredoni?
Dorito.
Tredoni, I'm pretty sure it's Tredoni. I've written it down somewhere. It's just not in here right now. It's not where it's supposed to be. The housekeeper makes a big deal over Dom calling Father Tom during his meal. And Father Tom then reveals that Alice's school records have been taken to Dom. At home, Catherine lays in Karen's bed, reminiscing about Karen. Then Alice and Annie get into a fight in the kitchen, and Alice accidentally drops a pitcher of milk. Annie insists that Alice should go back to school, and Alice is like, I ain't going back. It's just a lot of dramatic yelling and fighting back and forth between the three. Also, that knife shot where, I think it was it Annie or was it Catherine that picked up the knife?
I think it was Annie.
But it is a dead center shot of this huge, like, kitchen knife dripping with milk. And it's the sole subject of that shot for like 2 or 3 seconds is it's a little, like, jarring a little bit. It's a little, oof, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think it's supposed to take you by surprise. For sure.
After calming Alice down, her mother sends her off to Alfonso with the rent money. Before she leaves, Alice overhears her mother and aunt talking about Karen's missing cross necklace, and Annie accuses Alice of knowing where it is. And also, Annie apparently went through Alice's stuff, her belongings. Just went snooping up in her room. That's it's messed up. Not as much messed up as what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so Alice visits Alfonso and she picks on him about the state of his apartment and all his cats and also the whole thing about being fat because he is a big guy. Alfonso threatens to tell Dom all about Alice and she balls the check up and he forces it out of her hand. He then gets into her personal space and gets really creepy with her and tries to kiss her. Alice then grabs one of the cats and threatens to kill it. He lets her go after that, and Alice flees.
I don't know if she just threatened to kill that cat. I think she killed that cat.
You think? Really?
Well, the way she had that cat, mind you, that was a real fucking cat, too.
Yeah.
She had it, like, by its head, but, like, upside down. And then she, like, throws it down.
Yeah.
Which, in that one shot, I don't know if it was a real cat, but like it looked like it was a real cat. So yeah, but the one that she grabs initially, that was a real fucking cat.
Yeah. Sure. I'm pretty sure we see the same cat later in shots. And I don't I don't think she killed it.
To be fair though,
I hope she didn't kill it, but
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But to be fair, there's a lot of fucking cats in there.
There's a lot of fucking cats. You're right.
But yeah, that fucking Alfonso dude, just fucking gross, man.
Yeah, he's not a good guy. Not a good guy. Dom and Father Tom have a talk about Alice and how she is at school. And it turns out Alice causes trouble, but has a way of making things look like accidents. Meanwhile, down in the basement, Alice plays with her weird trophies. She's got roaches and glass jars, Karen's veil, Karen's baby doll that has 2 or 3 different faces on it.
Yeah.
A picture of Father Tom, who is shirtless and on a beach. Not sure where she got that one.
I don't know, but Alice is wild.
Alice is fucking crazy wild.
Yep. This is, it's starting to look like some fucking Buffalo Bill shit.
Yeah.
Like, it puts the lotion on its skin.
Donning her mask and her yellow rain jacket, Alice, quote unquote, waits at the bottom of the stairs. Annie then comes down the stairs and sees Alice and calls out to her, and then Alice stabs her aunt in the thigh. Alfonso and Catherine rush down the stairs after hearing Annie scream. Annie is able to crawl out of the building and into the rain, and Catherine follows her and starts to scream for help. Dom and Father Tom, I think it was Father Tom in the car.
I think so.
Yeah. Then show up and get Annie into the car and rush to a hospital. Dom then goes to search for Alice carrying a shovel. He discovers her in the basement hiding, and then she blames what happened to Annie on Karen, telling Dom that Karen wants her doll.
Dom was getting ready to fuck her up with that shovel, bro.
Dude, I don't know what his plan was, honestly. Like, you're going to hit your own daughter in the head with a shovel? Like,
I don't know.
That's what we're doing?
But, I mean, in that scene, like, Alice, she's wild for just stabbing Annie on the stairs like that. Obviously, it's going to draw some fucking attention. But,
yeah.
I mean, she got stabbed in the thigh. Like, there's a shot of her getting stabbed in the foot. Like, it was pretty gnarly.
So, at the hospital, Catherine and Tom have, they talk more about Alice and what she's going through. And it turns out Alfonso told the cops that Alice was the one that stabbed Annie. Because that's what Annie was screaming. Yeah. Catherine then goes to talk to her sister before the cops can. She pleads with Annie to listen to her and begs her not to rat on Alice. The detectives show up, and Catherine's like, I can tell you anything. And the detective's like, isn't having it. No, thank you. Jimmy, Annie's husband, shows up, and she breaks down. She begins to tell everyone what happened, but Catherine keeps begging her not to say anything. Annie says that it was Alice, and Catherine just loses it a little bit. The detective then calls it out and about Alice, and they bring her in.
It was in this scene where I was like, dude, Alice's mom, Catherine, she's so dumb. Like, how do you not know that your daughter is a psychopath?
You still think she's dumb now? Like, even after watching the movie?
I mean, having seen the movie, perhaps my thoughts have changed. But our listeners have not seen this movie.
Maybe some have, but yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Catherine and Alice are escorted to the police station, and they begin to question Alice and strap her into the lie detector. I forgot what happens next. I just read it. Alice continues to say that Karen was the one who attacked Annie. Then there's this disgusting exchange between the detective and the lie detector guy. Apparently, Alice failed the test. She lied when she was first asked if she knew who attacked her aunt, when she said no. And then when he asked the same question again, she says it was Karen, which wasn't a lie. Then he says she's a weird girl and makes some disgusting comments about her body. I want to note that in the movie currently, the actress, what was her name?
Paula Shepherd.
Paula Shepherd was 19 at the time, playing a 12-year-old. But still. He makes some some nasty comments about her body. And then Alice pulls the lie detector off the table into the floor, breaking it. Like, it's almost like she can hear what they're saying or something. Like, she noticed what they're saying, and then she, pulls it off the table, breaking it. Which serves him right. Disgusting.
Yeah, it was disgusting what he said about her. But at the same time, I was like, tell me you're guilty without telling me you're guilty. I mean, just dumping the lie detector machine into the floor like that. I mean,
she's a child, though.
She was a child, yes. But I mean, most children, at least I hope, would know not to break stuff that doesn't belong to them.
Kids don't care really normally.
I don't.
Then there's this really boring scene of Father Tom and his household having lunch together. Father Tom lives with an older priest, and then the housekeeper. Why can't I remember her name? Yeah, Tredoni. Okay. So the housekeeper helps feed the older priest, and Dom shows up and is doing his own investigation. Father Tom gives him the order list for the yellow coats that the girls wear from the Catholic school, and asks if Angela has one, because now they're thinking it's Angela, who is Annie's daughter, so their niece. Seems like Catherine and Dom are trying to point fingers at everyone but Alice, even their own niece. Which is funny because Catherine was begging Annie not to say it was Alice, and then it turns around and tries to blame Angela. Father Tom even points that out to Dom in the movie.
Yeah. Pretty bad.
Pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Dom and Catherine visit the psych ward where Alice is currently. She's being held. And meet with Dr. Whitman. Dr. Whitman tells the parents that she found out some stuff after having a session with Alice, and she lets them know that they are trying to do their best to help her, and warns them not to take her home. And they pretty much ignore her advice. But yeah. Also turns out that Alice hid the fact that she started menstruating from her mother.
Yeah, wow. I guess you don't know everything about your daughter.
Nope, wow. She doesn't. Imagine that.
Crazy.
Imagine people having their own secrets. Imagine your child being their own person and they're having their own personality. That's crazy.
Not in this house. We ain't gonna have no damn doors on the hinges. You keep on.
Oh gosh. Alice gets pretty upset when she learns she's not going home. They go over what's happening and why she's there and yada yada. Catherine and Alice have a spat when Dom goes to talk to the doctor about Alice again. But as her mother leaves, she runs after her and gives her a hug.
I thought it was so funny how during this conversation, Alice immediately starts blaming Catherine for what happened. Just like the psychiatrist said she would.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, dude. Like, they're just spelling it out for you at this point, and y'all just fucking blinders on.
Well, they think they know their daughter, so... So back home, Dom and Catherine talk about the possibility that it was Angela. But the coat sizes are different, Karen being much smaller than Angela. And then, obviously Alice thought it was Karen. So there's different, sizes there. The phone rings, and when Catherine answers it, someone is just breathing heavily on the other line. The stranger hangs up, and Catherine thinks it's Annie. The phone rings again. Catherine then forces Dom to answer, but they hang up before saying anything. Also, Dom kind of cheats on his wife a little bit with his ex-wife. They're kind of getting really cozy and kissy and stuff, but then the phone rings before they can really get into it, and it's Julia, Dom's new wife.
Dun dun. Here at fucking... I wish I knew the intro to Law and Order SVU.
Dun dun dun. We gotta get copyrighted for that.
Anyways, I thought it was so fucking funny how Catherine told Dom she can't deal with answering the phone, right?
So dramatic.
And then he forces her to answer it anyways. He says, "Please answer it," and then she just hands him the phone, saying, "I just can't deal with it." So yeah, he seems like a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Sarcasm.
Dom heads back to his hotel, and he's had a call. It's Angela, apparently. And she's upset and hiding from her mother because, get this, she says she has Karen's missing cross, and Annie won't let her give it back. Angela and Dom make plans to meet up so she can give him the cross. Angela tells him that she's at the Ivan building, which appears to be the abandoned warehouse from earlier in the movie. Once Dawn arrives, he sees a little girl dressed in the yellow jacket and the mask. He calls out to her, thinking it's Angela, and chases after her and follows her into the warehouse. As he walks up the stairs, the girl in the coat lunges from the railing and stabs Dom in the shoulder. Even though he's stabbed, he continues to go after her and follows her into this attic area. He approaches her and tells her she doesn't have to be afraid of him. And then she hits this motherfucker in the head with a brick. She then ties the unconscious Dom up and rolls him to a large open window.
I love how he's just like, "It's okay. Don't be afraid." Like, she stabbed you, bro.
Bruh.
Like, it should be the other way around.
Bruh.
Like, you should be afraid of her.
Dude, I don't care what's going on. I don't care if I get stabbed. If someone stabs me, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm noping the fuck out of there.
I am not welcome here.
Yeah, I've overstayed. I'm gonna check out now.
So Dom comes to and tries to reason with his attacker. The killer is actually, in fact, Mrs. Tredoni,
Dun dun.
Father Tom's housekeeper, who then chastises Dominic and Catherine as sinners because of their premarital sex and divorce. Because that's huge no-nos in the Catholic religion.
Yeah.
Also, this bitch is crazy.
Yep.
She's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Dom then uses his mouth to rip the cross necklace, Karen's cross necklace, from her neck, and then she fights him to try to get it back. But she kind of gives up, and Tredoni then pushes Dom from the window, and he falls to his death.
And she smacked him with that damn brick, I don't know how many fucking times. He was fucked up.
And then she took her shoes off and hit him in the was really trying to get that cross. Really hitting him in the head with the cross.
Yeah.
But he, swallows it.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy shit. I was like, okay, hold the fuck up.
Yeah.
So
I saw I came in because I heard the scene happening in the living room where you were watching the movie. So I literally got up to watch you react to this scene, and you had a physical response. You like jumped back. It was very hilarious. I loved it.
I was not expecting it at all. I was like, you mean to tell me that Alice isn't the killer? Mm-hmm. That's wild.
We'll really get into that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So Trelawney goes to church and cries it out before a group of children come in for a group confession. She then hides in the confession booth. Father Tom then comes in to take confession, and Trelawney gives confession. And Father Tom is just giving her whatever she wants to hear and forgiving her for whatever she's done. And Mrs. Trelawney is really soaking it up, man. Like, she is just in heaven, smiling, giddy, kind of giggling. It's absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. She's nuts.
Yeah. I was really starting to think, like, I was like, I guess Alice didn't actually kill anybody. Weird. I'm the fucking asshole now. Damn. Sucks.
So Catherine goes to visit Father Tom looking for Dom because he hasn't come back to her. But Father Tom isn't there, and Mrs. Trelawney invites her inside to wait. Trelawney leaves Catherine to read as she waits for Father Tom and goes back into the kitchen and stares at a large kitchen knife for a while. She then invites Catherine into the kitchen for coffee. The coffee is served, and Catherine tries to open up to Trelawney, and the housekeeper tells her about her life. It's revealed that she had a daughter who died on the day of her first communion. She says that it was God's way of teaching her that the children pay for the sins of their parents. Mm-hmm.
Topical.
Tom arrives and tells Catherine the news that Dom has been murdered. Mrs. Trelawney smiles as she hears Catherine cries and screams from the other room. During the autopsy, they find Karen's cross in Dom's throat. This pretty much proves Alice is innocent, and Catherine and Tom go and retrieve Alice from the hospital.
Yeah, I thought it was super weird how, because Mrs. Trelawney was in the kitchen carving up a fish or something like that. And she's hearing Catherine scream and stuff, and she like takes her bloody hand and just smears it across her apron. And that's to kind of signify that, like, you know, she's got
red hands, like red-handed.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Back at Tom's place, Trelawney is just kind of wandering around in her room in this white communion dress. And is just being extra creepy and weird. Like, oof. I'm pretty sure she's in love with Father Tom and obsessed with Catherine and her family. And Catherine's connection to Tom. I guess they knew each other for a really long time or something like that. I don't know exactly. It's never really, like, detailed. She leaves her room and heads off to do more murders dressed in the yellow jacket. Which I didn't make a note here, but when I was doing more research, I was really thinking about it. Like, in that boring scene I was talking about where Father Tom and the other priest and Trelawney are having lunch, the older priest tells Trelawney to, like, not let the children in the house. So I'm thinking he's seen her leave the house dressed as one of the girls. Because of the yellow coat. And because as she's leaving, he kind of sees her move past the door and, like, go down the stairs. So I think that's what he was leaning to. Like, he saw a child in the house.
Yeah.
So there were little clues.
The whole time.
Back at the apartment, Alfonso is asleep on his couch when a masked Alice, a real Alice, sneaks into his apartment and puts a jar of roaches on him. Catherine catches Alice leaving the apartment, and Alice says she was just saying hi. Catherine and Alice leave the apartment right as Trelawney sneaks into the building. Trelawney starts to bang on Catherine's apartment door, but obviously no one's home. Meanwhile, Alfonso wakes up because of the roaches, and he wakes up screaming and runs into the hallway and spots Tredoni dressed in the mask and the yellow coat. Thinking it's Alice, he grabs her and unmasks her, and then Tredoni then stabs him in the chest. The detective that was watching the building hears the screams and tries to get into the building. He spots Tredoni escaping the back and discovers Alfonso's dead body.
That is a classic case of wrong place, wrong time for Alfonso.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she was given that door to Catherine's place.
Dude,
she was giving that door hell. Bro.
Yes, she was beating the fuck out of that door.
Like the whole fucking. You ever seen that fucking Eric Andre? The fucking "Let me in," where he's hanging on the fence of the fucking White House and stuff.
I think so. Yeah. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Let me in. Like, god damn, yo, like they not home, okay? Leave a note. Jeez.
So Tredoni runs to the church dressed in the yellow jacket and sits down with the others for mass. Outside, the sound of sirens can be heard in the distance. The cops are now waiting outside. Father Tom then goes outside to see what's going on and also lets the cops know that Tredoni is inside and convinces the detective that he can lure Tredoni outside to him safely without making a big old fuss inside and scaring everybody at mass. Mass continues. Tredoni watches Alice and Catherine closely. They get up and get in line to take the communion, and Tredoni follows them close behind and bends down beside Alice to receive the communion. Father Tom skips Alice in the communion and then bends down and tries to get Tredoni to go peacefully. She then yells that he gave the communion to that whore, referencing Catherine. She then pulls out a knife and stabs Father Tom in the neck.
Like she's straight up like fucking haymakers that dude with that knife, just fucking. Mm-hmm. And he's bleeding really bad.
Yeah.
Like
I'm pretty sure he dies.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Oh. Pretty sure Father Tom died.
I'm pretty sure he did too. Yeah. I think she probably cut like the jugular and stuff.
Yeah.
Just.
Mm-hmm. Father Tom then falls into Tredoni's arms and she embraces him with a smile on her face. Alice then begins to walk away from the scene as the cops come in, holding Tredoni's bag with her mask and another knife. Alice stares off as the credits begin to roll.
It was at that point where I was like, what have I been watching this whole time? Was Alice did she murder anybody or did she not murder anybody?
So, I'm not sure if Alice murdered anyone. I kind of have this hypothesis that Alice murdered like her sister and then also stabbed her aunt. But obviously Tredoni killed the father.
Right.
Because there's no reason for Tredoni to stab Annie. But then again, it probably, I don't know. It's confusing. I think it's meant to be confusing.
I think it is too, because there's only 3 people that we know for certain that Tredoni killed in the movie.
Okay.
Dom.
Yes.
Alfonso.
Yes.
And Father Tom.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody else who's died, well, the only other person was Karen. Mm-hmm. Annie didn't die.
Annie didn't die. She was just attacked.
But those 2, it's left to speculation that, yeah, Alice could have done that. Mm-hmm. You know, because obviously she's got, not necessarily, I guess you could say the motive was just insanity, I guess. Because, like... She was
gone.
Yeah.
She
got a jar of roaches in the basement that she plays with.
Oh, you're talking about Alice. I was talking about Tredoni.
Oh, well, Tredoni's crazy, too.
Yeah, they're both insane. So, let me tell you what I liked and I didn't like about it. I really love that Linda Miller, Brooke Shields, and Paula Shepherd seem to have just an effortlessly relationship. Their relationship in the movie as mother and daughters was really, really well done. It was really great. I love the imagery of the baby doll with the multiple faces, the use of the color yellow, and the obvious difference treatments of Alice versus Karen is very heartbreaking and moving. I absolutely hated the sexualization of Alice. It was so disgusting, and we kind of like adapt to the trauma, and become like different people because of our trauma and stuff. And the added trauma of like everything that's happening to Alice with the divorce, the thing with her sister, her obsession with the communion and stuff. And then on top of that, you've got these men sexualizing a 12-year-old girl. It's so bad.
It is very reminiscent of, a 1970s exploitation film, kind of, in regards to their treatment of Alice sexually. And obviously her portraying a 12-year-old girl, like, that makes it way, way worse,
I think also the reason why they used someone that was older, barely legal, is because the fact that they could, I guess, more comfortably allow her in those situations.
Right. In this film, Brooke Shields, she's obviously still like, she could be 12 in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think she was much older than that, to be honest. But yeah, obviously we don't see any sexualization of Karen in the movie. It's just Alice. And then speaking of the doll with the multiple faces and stuff, I thought the symbology behind that was very interesting because we see Alice with the doll multiple times, and it kind of signifies the different personalities of Alice,
Oh, definitely.
So,
and also I think it is a symbolization of both Karen and Alice, and their different personalities and stuff, and how they're treated differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alice's obsession of receiving the communion kind of makes me believe that she never got her own first communion, honestly.
I could see that. I could see Alice having been different and not as well liked as Karen, never got that opportunity.
Yeah.
And
that's not really fair.
No, and she most likely resented her sister for that.
Oh, definitely. There was the first scenes of them going and meeting Father Tom and the whole situation with the cross was, you obviously get that real quick that Alice is very jealous of Karen.
Yeah.
The production of Alice, Sweet Alice was directed by Alfred Soule, and it was filmed on a low budget in Paterson, New Jersey. The movie was shot over several months in 1976 and faced financial challenges, which made it difficult to complete. Despite its small budget, the filmmakers used local buildings like the churches and the apartments to create an eerie atmosphere. The film was originally titled Communion, but was later changed to Alice, Sweet Alice to avoid controversy with the religious themes. It gained more attention when actress Brooke Shields became famous later, though she only had a small role in the movie, really. The budget was estimated to be around $350K. So.
Yeah. I mean, the atmosphere that was depicted in the movie, I felt like it was really genuine.
It was a little, either very early, late fall, or late fall, early winter, or no, it's probably around that because it's cold. It's very gray. There's lots of rain and stuff multiple times. Everyone's wearing coats, so it's very dreary. It's very dark, very gray.
Yeah.
Key locations included St. Michael's Church, which was used for the religious scenes, obviously, including Karen's first communion. Ugh. Several scenes were also shot in local apartment buildings, giving off the film its gritty, lived-in feel. The use of these real locations included narrow alleyways, dim-lit streets, helped create the movie's unsettling atmosphere and these scenes of claustrophobic kind of tension. Definitely got that, especially like in the basement in the warehouse and stuff. Patterson's urban setting played a crucial role in amplifying the eerie psychological horror throughout the film. Catherine and her daughter's apartment interiors were shot in the historic home of British silk manufacturer John Ryle.
Interesting.
Yes. And there's a darker side to the production of this movie. Filming was temporarily halted when actress Linda Miller attempted suicide by slitting her wrist during the shooting of the film's final sequence in the church. The incident caused a significant delay in production as Miller needed time to recover. After spending a week in recovery, she returned to set and bravely completed her scenes. Despite her return, a bandage is visible on her wrist in several shots throughout the final sequences, subtly reflecting the personal turmoil she was experienced during the film's production. The crew had to work around this the best they could to maintain continuity.
That is wild.
Yeah, I tried to do a little more research about Linda Miller and about this specifically and why, but I really couldn't find anything out. It's not even like mentioned on her wiki or her. I don't think it was mentioned on her IMDb either. So it's a very This was mentioned on the film's Wikipedia page, and
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, everybody always harps on like when it comes to like occupational health and stuff like that, like being safe, doing certain tasks and stuff like that. But it's very rarely spoken about mental health, and stuff. So obviously, you never really know what somebody's going through.
Nope.
So you just got to be there to, lend an ear, basically. Alice, Sweet Alice has been seen by many film scholars as a critique of Catholicism, with its portrayal of religious institutions linked to the villain, Mrs. Tredoni, who tries to punish sinners in her parish. This has led some to call the film anti-Catholic. Director Alfred Soule, who called himself an ex-Catholic, was excommunicated from the Catholic Church after releasing his first movie, Deep Sleep, in 1972, which influenced the anti-religious themes in Alice, Sweet Alice. The film's violent scenes are described as shocking, using strong religious imagery like crosses and statues of the Virgin Mary. Critics like Sheila O'Malley pointed out the constant religious symbols in the movie, while Chuck Bowen noted how cramped the church and home settings reflected dysfunction in society.
Oh yeah. That underlining meaning behind all this.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons the whole like communion thing is really important to Alice, like we talked about that she didn't get one. It could have been because her mother was pregnant before she got married, and it's briefly mentioned in the one scene where Annie's in the hospital. But I was doing more research into it and trying to figure out if that would keep someone being in the first communion or baptized or whatever, because I'm pretty sure Catholics do some sort of baptism as well. And I couldn't find anything that would keep a child from taking it or anything, so I'm not really sure if she received one or not, and that's where the obsession came from.
Yeah.
And that also would explain more about how her aunt reacted to her even before like the incidents and stuff. But Alice was kind of a bitch and a troublemaker, so it could be that as well.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
So I'd give this movie like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean that either 6 or 7. I'd be in that ballpark.
6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not bad. It was not a bad movie. I was shocked with the twist. You were shocked with the twist. And Soul did a great job of leading the audience to really think it's Alice.
Yeah.
And it could be. Alice could have killed a few of them. and stabbed Annie.
I feel like the ending implies that Alice...
The ending, I think, implies that Alice was going to be a copycat killer. Like, she was going to be influenced by Tredoni.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we definitely don't know for sure if Alice didn't kill anybody.
No, don't know for sure.
But, all right. Well, that sums up Alice, Sweet Alice.
Yep, it was pretty good. Not bad. Not a bad way to get back into it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we finally watched this movie. I've been wanting to watch this movie for a while. This was one that I hadn't seen yet, and this was my first and second time watching it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad we were able to finally share a first movie together, even though we didn't watch it together.
No.
But, our first time seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's real cool.
Tell them where they can find us.
Well, you can always find us on Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify right now, you can actually leave us comments, leave us reviews and ratings, and give us a follow and all that stuff. You can also find the podcast on Castbox, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcasts.
YouTube.
Mm-hmm. You can also find us on almost all of the social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok.
As long as it's around.
Yeah. Also, a side note, we recently were given the opportunity to do an interview.
Yeah, that's right.
With Voyage LA magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you haven't had a chance to read it, I highly recommend it.
We should add it to the website.
Yeah. I still need to add it to the website. I did post Facebook post about it. So if you're looking for it, you can always find it there. But I will try to get that linked to the website.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that about sums everything up
here.
We are definitely glad to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely try to stay consistent.
Yeah. But
so,
life happens, and we're just humans.
Yep, life happens. So
health is a priority.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
100%. But alrighty. Well, until next time, stay spooky.
Bye.